Hey guys, what is going on? Jurgen from ZurGrinoSports here, and today I'm coming at you with the April 23rd, 2021 edition of Smackdown Review. Quickly, before we get into the review, let me know what you guys thought of Smackdown down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? If you'd like to join the Discord server for the channel, you can do so. Link in the description. Twitter's also in the description if you want to go check that out. And yeah, man, at the end of the video, if you like the review, leave a like and subscribe and all that shit. But without further ado, let's get into the review. So we started off SmackDown with a Cesaro promo segment where he challenges Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. I was a little bit late to SmackDown because I was editing and kind of lost track of time kind of thing. I was like, oh shit, SmackDown's on. So yeah, I missed the Cesaro part, but I tuned in at the part where Seth came in and cut him off and basically took credit for elevating Cesaro at WrestleMania, and now, Cesaro thinks that he can just move on and stuff like that. And then Seth says, like, no, this isn't over until I say it is. He blames his loss on the rain delay at WrestleMania. It says on his worst day and Cesaro's best day, Cesaro couldn't beat him again. Cesaro then says, well, are you having a good day today? Because I'm having a good day. So, Cesaro then challenges Seth again, and Seth contemplates the offer before Jey Uso interrupts, where he says that Cesaro doesn't deserve to be in the ring with Roman. He can't beat Roman. He can't beat Jey. He can't beat Seth again. His family disrespected Cesaro, and he's going to show him again tonight. Seth kind of pulls Jey aside, and he's like, hey, listen, you can't go in there one-on-one. He's got the high ground. He's got the advantage. You go that way, I'll go this way. Let's get him. And then Jay's like, all right, Oos, I'm following with you. Let's go. So then they kind of circle Cesaro a little bit before Bryan's music hits, and then he comes out. They start leaving. He's like, oh, where are you guys going? So, you didn't come out to say what you do. You didn't come out to do what you said you came out to do, because Cesaro, he came out to challenge for the Universal title. Seth, you came out because you're embarrassed that you lost. Jey, you came out because Roman told you to. And then Bryan says that he came out to make sure that Cesaro gets what he deserves because he works harder than everybody, puts over Cesaro huge, and then basically he's like, oh, so you guys what? Are you guys gonna fight? No. Is Roman gonna come out here and accept the challenge? No. Oh, is Roman gonna come out here and join up and the three of you take on the two of us? Oh well, if you guys are gonna outnumber us, I'd rather there's no one I'd rather do it with than Cesaro or something like that. Roman then comes out and says, hard work. DB, hard work. You should be talking about the work I put on you at WrestleMania. And the worst part of it is, or the best part of it is, I can't remember exactly what he said. He said, I told you what I said would happen. I say it, they print it, smash them, stack them, win kind of thing. And look at the shirt, because they have a shirt with the slogan on it. Look who's on the bottom. It's you. You're a loser. You're on the bottom, so you're a loser. Cesaro, you let Daniel Bryan talk for you. That makes you a loser. He calls Cesaro a casino loser. He calls Bryan a stupid loser. He talks about how not everybody thinks they're losers. A lot of people think they're legit, but the tribal chief, the head of the table, they're top level losers. They're main event losers. Bryan, you're a Mania loser. Bryan, you're a stupid loser, running your mouth surrounded by people who want to whoop your ass. Good luck with that. We go to commercial. We come back to Seth and Jey, Cesaro, and Bryan kind of brawling. Commentary announces that a tag team match was made official during the break, and then we get a very, very good tag team match for quite a lot of time, which ends up with Seth abandoning the tag match near the end, leaving Jey Uso all on his own. And Bryan winning with a running knee on Jey. Bryan then gets on the mic after the promo, saying, I thought we'd get whooped. What, Roman, you gonna come out and whoop us? Jey tries to attack them. He is thwarted by Cesaro. Then Cesaro swings Jey while Bryan sits on the top rope and kind of counts it. Then big European uppercut. Bryan says how Roman must be scared because he's not going to accept, he's not going to accept Cesaro's challenge. He won't even come out here to save his cousin. But you know what? Here, how about this? Swing him again. Let's see if he comes out. The family man, the head of the table. Let's see if he comes out and saves his cousin. Swing him again. Cesaro swings him again, and then he doesn't come out. So they again reiterate if he's afraid, and then Bryan says, you couldn't beat Kevin Owens without Jey Uso's help. You couldn't beat me without Edge's help. You can beat Edge without Jey Uso's help, and you can't beat Cesaro. And that's why you won't come out here, because you're afraid that in a one-on-one match for the Universal Championship, Cesaro would become the Universal Champion. They dedicated this whole Cesaro build, pretty much, right? That's the whole purpose of all of this. It ended at 8:40. 40 minutes of this show, 1/3 of this 2-hour show, was dedicated to building up Cesaro, and there's more throughout the night too, which I absolutely love, because it shows that they're putting effort into Cesaro, who absolutely should be somebody who they should be putting a lot of effort into, because he's fantastic. In terms of the promos, I kind of just ran through all of it in one go before, giving my thoughts. But Cesaro challenging for the championship, I like that. Seth coming out and saying, I'm not done with you, being delusional, blaming it on a rain delay, I like that. Jay coming out, to be Roman's lapdog, as per usual, I like that. Them trying to get the upper hand, the 2-on-1 advantage, I like that. Bryan coming for the save, I like that. Bryan advocating for Cesaro, I very much enjoy, because it's Daniel Bryan. He holds a lot of weight with not only the hardcore fans, but the casual fans. So to get Cesaro over to both sets of audiences, I mean, he's already over with the hardcore fans, but the casual fans kind of just take in what you give them, right? If somebody's losing, the casual fans just think they're not good. If somebody's winning, the casual fans think they're good. So, you know what I mean? If you have somebody who's a... I don't want to say notorious, because that's kind of like a negative one, right? Maybe he's very popular in history, in wrestling history, Daniel Bryan. And with him coming out and being like, hey, Cesaro's the real deal, like he deserves this shit, and you're afraid of him, that's huge for the casual audiences, which is fantastic. Plus, it gives Bryan something to do with him going towards being more part-time, but we'll get to that later on in the show. Bryan calling out Roman and stuff like that, good. Roman coming in and kind of like still ignoring the challenge. He doesn't make really any he doesn't mention Cesaro's challenge at all. He's just like, oh, let me focus on Bryan, and by association, since I'm calling Bryan a loser, Cesaro, you're a loser too, but I'm focusing on Bryan, I'm going to ignore Cesaro. It's setting the groundwork for a really big Cesaro win, hopefully at SummerSlam. Hopefully they can save it for SummerSlam. Hopefully SummerSlam can have some fans, so Cesaro can get a huge title win in front of fans at SummerSlam. If they schedule SummerSlam accordingly, they could give Roman a year-long title reign, which I think would be good, to try and give him a year, or at least as close to a year as possible. And then have Cesaro be the one to dethrone him, which would cement Cesaro as a top guy with the great work that Roman's been doing. So I like Roman either ignoring him or declining him, because it's a nice way to have Cesaro in the main event picture indirectly but directly. It's a way to build up story with Roman ducking him repeatedly, to the point where when they finally wrestle and they finally have their match and Cesaro finally gets it, he can kind of start worrying, kind of start sweating, trying to get out of the match, blah, 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 put over how big Cesaro is, boom. And then, so it's setting the foundations of some potentially really good storytelling with the underdog situation turning into the, oh shit, no, he's not the underdog, like, he's the favorite, that's why I've been ducking him kind of thing. So it's setting the foundation for that, which I'm a fan of. So I liked Roman's promo. I like the shirt as well. I like how he incorporated the shirt into his promo. The tag match, they got a lot of time. They got like a few segments, man. There was 2 or 3 commercial breaks, maybe more, in this tag match. Like I said, the whole shit ended at 8:40 or around that time. So they gave them a lot of time from the start of the show at 8 o'clock until 8:40. It was all the Cesaro stuff. The match was great. Seth leaving makes sense, and then it kind of protects Jay in the loss because he's 2-on-1. Also a little bit of, what goes around comes around kind of there, you know what I mean, with them trying to do a 2-on-1 on Cesaro, the match ending 2-on-1 for the baby faces, kind of, payback's a bitch kind of, vibes going on right there. The Bryan post-match promo I enjoyed because he was very like, you said you were gonna whoop us, dude. Why didn't you whoop us? Are you gonna come out and whoop us now? Like being like antagonistic about it and being like a dick about it because it's warranted in that situation. I like. Cesaro swinging Jay twice. I like that. I like Bryan cutting the promo while Cesaro does that. I like the whole, oh man, like you're not going to come out and save your cousin? Dude, what a great champion. What a great family man. All these things he claims to be, he's not showing it, but like what a great example he is. I like Bryan counting along to them. So yeah, all of this stuff with Cesaro, I enjoy. Cesaro gets a win in the tag team competition through Bryan. I don't mind Bryan getting the pin. It kind of plays into what we have later, and it can in further build to Roman versus Cesaro. Roman can come back and be like, listen, man, like you're out here claiming all these wins and stuff. You're not even the one getting the wins. You're not on my level. Other people are winning matches for you. And then there's the irony there because Roman relies heavily on Jay to win him the matches. There's a lot of stuff that they can use that they're potentially setting up here that can have some good storytelling parallels and irony and things that you can play off of. So I like what they're doing with the whole Cesaro stuff right now, good stuff. Good shit. Then we had a quick little backstage thing with Pierce and Sonia Deville where they're talking. Apollo shows up. Sonia says, all right, I'm a bounce, then leaves. Apollo's like, damn, dude, like, I have to defend my championship tonight. Biggie doesn't deserve it, you know what I mean? And, if you give him this match, I'll just get, Commander Aziz to give him another Nigerian nail and put him back in the hospital kind of thing. Pierce is like, listen, Biggie was a great champion. He'll get a title shot when he's ready and when he comes back, whether it be against you or your opponent tonight, which is Kevin Owens. So we get it revealed that the match that they announced earlier in the day on social medias, the challenger was Kevin Owens. Then we got a quick little Naya and Shayna entrance with Reggie returning with a great suit. With a great suit, I must say. Yeah, I like. I like Apollo being like, "Wow, like how rude, like how the fuck are you doing, making me defend my title, man? What the fuck? You know what? So be it. I'll just put him back on the shelf. No worries. My boy Commander Aziz is on it. I like that. Sonya leaving. Don't really understand it in this scenario because Apollo's a heel, but I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to play up the dissension, I guess, of Sonya and Pierce in terms of like a management partnership, because maybe the whole idea behind her leaving when that is going on is that she's like, hey, listen, I'm going to leave, so if you get your ass beat, you get your ass beat. There's nobody here to help you kind of thing. I don't know if that's what it was. Whatever it wasn't really clear, at least to me. It doesn't really matter though. They've made it clear that they're teasing, they're planting the seeds for the Sonya heel turn, I guess, because she's technically not a heel, because she technically turned face when she came back in the management position, but also she's not really a face. She's just kind of like vibing. So yeah. Reggie being back is cool. Naya having a singles match on SmackDown is not. But before that, we have a Jey Uso interview where he's asked how he feels. He says he's about to throw up. He could give a damn about Seth Rollins, give a damn about Cesaro. Enough with the disrespect. You step to the head of the table, you get put down. So just a quick little Jey interview there. Then we had Naya versus Tamina. Oh, man, it was such a good show until this match. And then it became a great show again after this. This was just like a little, like, it was like up, 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 down, up, up, up. You know what I mean? Like, the whole show was on a high, except for this one segment that was just a very big low. The match itself stunk. It was clunky. It was sloppy. They were, you know, the timings on a lot of shit was off. The delivery of a lot of shit was off. And what do you expect? It's Naya and Tamina. Like, they're not great at all. So there's that. The finish came after Reggie got on the apron to like distract Tamina. Which led to Shayna kind of like being like, "Ayo, Reggie, what the fuck, dude?" And then Tamina kicking Shayna. And then after Shayna got kicked by Tamina, she's like, "What the fuck? Like, Reggie, that's your fault, dude. What the fuck?" And then like kind of backs down Reggie, who then trips over the steps. And then Naya's like, "What the fuck is going on, dude?" And then Tamina rolls her up in one of the worst roll-ups I've ever seen in my life. 1, 2, 3. The 3 count started after a pretty much non-existent 3 count because the roll-up was so bad that Naya's shoulders were not on the mat and the ref was out of position, so they had to get into position. So Naya was on the ground for like what was like a 6 count, essentially, which, to be fair, I don't give a fuck. She's awful. She shouldn't even be employed. So if she looks weak because of a botch, I don't care. But it's just the fact, like, the botch was bad. Like, how do you fuck up a roll-up that poorly? 1. 2, like, the match quality itself was bad because a lot of strikes looked bad, a lot of maneuvers looked bad. They're just not good wrestlers. End of the day, they're not good wrestlers. You can't expect a good match out of them, and you did not get a good match out of them. It was a bad match. It was a short match. It's a match where Naya, a Raw superstar, is competing on SmackDown in what is not a tag team title defense, which is the only reason she should be competing on SmackDown as the women's tag team champion. For a title defense, go to SmackDown for sure. For a singles match to advance a rivalry that doesn't really matter, no, like, there's no point there. So just all around, like, it's got the interpromotional shit, which, again, you can technically go and be like, oh, well, she's allowed on SmackDown because of the women's tag titles. Yeah, but she's allowed on SmackDown to defend the women's tag titles. The championships are what is cross-brand. It's not the wrestlers. They are only cross-brand by way of the championships, which means they can defend the championships on any brand, and then that's it. They're still a Raw competitor. They're still a Raw wrestler. They belong to the Raw brand. They're not on the SmackDown brand. They can defend their championships on the SmackDown brand because the championships floats. They do not. If they were to lose the championships tomorrow, she could not appear on Raw the next, so, or on SmackDown the next week. So, I hate when they do that. I hate when they like disregard like the cross brand stuff. So again, from the get-go, it's shit no matter who the competitor is because it's a Raw person in a singles match on SmackDown. Then you add in that it's Naya. Then you add in that it's Tamina. Then you add in that it was a short match. It was a shitty match, clunky match, sloppy match, botches everywhere. The finish was, not only was the finish, the roll-up was botched and shit like that and it didn't look good, the finish is stupid as fuck. Like, it doesn't make anybody look good. Reggie looks like a moron. Shayna looks like a moron. Naya looks like a moron. And then Tamina, because of how she botched the roll-up, looks like a moron. You know what I mean? Tamina shouldn't be, like, she's not good, right? But the type of wrestler she is, being that, like, giant of the women's division along with Naya, it's like if they did Big Show versus Andre the Giant, let's say, which it's not that big, but okay, I'll do Hogan and Andre because Tamina posted on social media after Survivor Series 2017 or whatever, with that picture, and then her and Naya, which delusional. So imagine a Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant matchup ended in Hogan rolling up Andre. It's that's not the kind of finish that belongs in a match like that, because it's two fucking gigantic competitors, which Hulk Hogan isn't gigantic, but just, you know what I mean? Back to my Big Show versus, okay, Big Show versus Khali, right? Let's just say Big Show versus Khali. Big Show's a hell of a lot better than Naya and Tamina, but Khali is not. So, half of the equation is representative. So, a Big Show versus Khali match ending in a roll-up would be ridiculous. That's what this is. A match like that should not end in a roll-up. They're the two biggest people in the fucking roster, in the women's roster. Like, why are you ending that with a distraction roll-up? And the answer is because they want to keep Naya looking strong so they can't have her lose clean. But here's the solution. Fire Naya, fire Tamina, and give the titles to the Riot Squad. There you go. Awful segment, piece of shit match, piece of shit segment, two piece of shit competitors. Let's move on, because the rest of the show was great. The show before that was great. That was the one low point, so we're going to move on. Then we had a Kevin Owens interview backstage where he is told by the interviewer, by the way, Kayla Braxton, her spray-on tan this week was so goddamn dark. I was like, ooh, she about to get canceled. Like, I don't know what the fuck that was. She looked like a completely different race with that spray-on tan. So either she got the wrong shit or she made a horrible decision. So, it doesn't really matter because she's just an interviewer on the show, so she's not a huge part of the show, but I just, it just caught me off guard. I'm like, is that Kayla? What the fuck? Who? Like, it just caught me off guard. She just looks so different. So, yeah, man, either she accidentally bought too dark of a spray tan or made a bad call. So, there you go. But anyways, on to the important stuff, the interview itself. So Kevin Owens is interviewed, and she brings up how he could leave as the Intercontinental Champion. He said, yeah, it's been years since I've had an Intercontinental shot, genuinely years, so I'm really happy. I'm surprised, that I got the title shot, but everybody wants to beat Apollo, and tonight I can be the one, blah, blah, blah. I can be the one to knock him off his royal pedestal, if you know what I mean. And then Big E kind of comes in. He's like, yeah, I know what you mean. You mean you jumped the line. You're a line jumper. And then they bicker and they banter and stuff like that. Big E says it's his title. Kevin Owens is like, oh, it's your title. Yeah, you know what? I agree. You should have gotten a rematch, but guess what? It's not tonight. Tonight is going to be my title win. Tonight is going to be my shot, and tonight, after I win, is going to be my title. Then they kind of laugh in each other's face in that passive-aggressive, like, ha, 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 I'm trying not to beat your ass right now, but I want to beat your ass, so we'll just laugh it off. And then Kevin Owens slaps him on the arm, and then they both kind of do a serious look, and then Kevin Owens walks off. So, yeah, man. I mean, Kevin Owens is a great promo. Big E's a great promo. They gel well together. So, yeah, no complaints. Good shit. Then we had Pierce and Daniel Bryan backstage, where Daniel Bryan comes in. And he's like, so are you going to make the Cesaro match? Pierce is like, listen, I'm doing what I can. It's not that simple. I can't just make the decision. I'm going to try. Daniel Bryan says, you better do a lot more than try. So there we go. Bryan pushing for Cesaro. Once again, all for it. And then we had Apollo versus Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental title. Sammy came out midway through the match before a commercial break. Then when we come back from commercial, he's on commentary. While on commentary, he's like, look at this. I got this folding chair. Like, I didn't even have a headset ready. They knew I was coming out here. And then Michael Cole, a few minutes later, is like, listen, you're complaining about these conditions. Like, nobody knew you were coming out here, but you said that they did. And he's like, no, it's the conspiracy thing. Apollo and Kevin Owens had a good match. They got decent time as well. And then Apollo rolled up Kevin Owens for the win off of an Aziz distraction, a Commander Aziz distraction. He got on the apron. They were on the outside of the ring. Kevin Owens, I think, threw, if I'm remembering correctly, Kevin Owens, I think, threw Apollo in. And then while he's chasing down Apollo, Commander Aziz gets on the apron. And then Kevin Owens is like, yeah, what the fuck? And then Apollo rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. Retains his championship. Kevin Owens hits a stunner immediately after the match. Apollo can't even celebrate, but Commander Aziz comes in and hits the Nigerian nail on Kevin Owens, or the Samoan spike, right? Shout out Umaga, rest in peace, Us. Yeah, man. I like how they did the alliteration on it, because the Samoan spike was SS, Samoan spike. They did Nigerian nail, NN, you know what I mean? They kept the alliteration, and they adapted it to this culture, right? This ethnicity. Yeah? Ethnicity, I think that's the word I'm going for. They adapted it to the Nigerian thing from the Samoan thing, and they kept the alliteration while keeping the sharp, blunt object, whatever analogy. It's a nice name because it kind of keeps the whole spirit of the Samoan spike kind of thing going. So yeah, man. And then we got Sammy dancing over a fallen Kevin Owens, which is going to be fantastic when footage to use whenever. So yeah, man. Speaking of Sami Zayn, I almost said Sami Owens. Sami Zayn dancing. Sami Zayn has a T-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees, with him dancing for Logan Paul's first night on Smackdown, and all 100% of the profits from the sales of that shirt go to his Sammy for Syria, I think, campaign. So hey, man, if you want a cool wrestling shirt, I'm gonna buy one. So yeah, I hope I'm gonna buy one. I hope they're not sold out by now, but they're on sale until the 26th, I think. So yeah, man, I have no affiliation with Pro Wrestling Tees or Sami Zayn. I just it's for a good cause, and it's an awesome shirt because Sami Zayn's cool. So if you didn't know, then now you know. So yeah, man. But yeah, that was that segment. I liked it. The match was good. You could complain about the Kevin Owens, getting distracted and then rolled up stuff, but I mean, it's whatever. The match was fine. Apollo gets a win. Kevin Owens is somewhat protected. So yeah, you could complain about it. It's not the best finish in the world. But honestly, whatever. I'm willing to look past it. I don't really care this week, brother. You know what I mean? It's fine. The match was good. I like that they're treating Apollo serious. I like the Nigerian nail. Sammy dancing over a fallen Kevin Owens was great. So yeah, the post-match stuff where Kevin Owens gets his heat back, so to speak, and then gets laid out by Commander Aziz. All good. So there you go. We then had a Paul Heyman interview on whether or not Roman will accept the challenge, and Paul Heyman did his thing. He said a whole lot of things that really said nothing, and it was fantastic. So there you go. Then we had an Apollo interview backstage where he comes out of his dressing room to not Kayla, but the other interviewer that they have. Her name started with an M, one of them at least. I don't know. Yeah. He's like, oh, you're here to celebrate me, you know what I mean? Blah, 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 this and that. Me retaining my Intercontinental Championship, Commander Aziz screened you. Yeah, I don't talk to, random new people. Oh, listen, you hear that? It's Nigeria celebrating, blah, blah, blah. And he talks about how he's going to defend the title, blah, blah, blah. Big E attacks him during the interview. He is then escorted away from the premises after his attack on Apollo by referees and agents and stuff. Then Commander Aziz comes out of the locker room to a fallen Apollo. He's like, oh shit, what the fuck? And then he gets up looking all menacing and tough and like, grr, I'm mad. So I'm being kind of undermining about it just because I'm just, yeah, I don't know. But no, his facial expressions were good. It was fine. It's I almost said generic, but that's not the word. It's simple. There we go. Simple. That's the word. It's simple storytelling, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. We're probably going to get Big E and Commander Aziz at some point in the future. Big E is getting a title shot next week, which will probably see a Commander Aziz attack, which leads in a Big E DQ win or something like that, and then you can have Commander Aziz after that, and then whatever. Or Commander Aziz in a singles against Big E or whatever. But yeah, no complaints there from me. Then I was very hyped for this. We had a new vision from the twisted mind of Aleister Black, where he had like this book of like tales of shit, of dark things or whatever, and he recited pretty much chapter 1 to us. So it looks like we're going to get a new vignette from Aleister every week, and it's Aleister on my TV. It's rehyping Aleister without having him in matches that he would have to either lose or put other people under that they're trying to build up. So, I always like when they use vignettes to build somebody up, because it makes them stand out, which is always something that you want on your wrestling show. You want somebody to stand out when you want them to feel important. So if you can make them stand out, that's a good way to do it with the whole vignettes thing. And again, it protects him from booking, because sometimes when you're booking stuff, you kind of book yourself into a corner because you've got all these ideas, and then you come in and you're like, oh shit, one of these storylines has to give, because like I kind of have to do it this way to not be repetitive and this and that. And I feel like not only have they done that with Aleister in the past, they've just completely fumbled Aleister in the past. So it protects him from WWE wrestling booking to have the vignettes build him back up after not being on the show for so long. The vignette was cool. I'm digging the new character. Low-key, it's kind of giving a cult leader vibe, so I feel like his first feud after coming back might be with Seth. And I'm thinking maybe Buddy Murphy will align with Aleister Black, because Aleister Black, I think when he was doing the "come knock on my door, we'll be waiting for you" gimmick, Buddy Murphy was the one who answered the door, right? Who knocked on the door, and then they had a really good match at like an Extreme Rules or some shit like that. I can't really remember the pay-per-view, but I remember the match being good, and I think that it was Buddy Murphy who knocked on the door. So you could have a similar situation, because Buddy Murphy offered his services to Seth again in the build-up to Seth and Cesaro, the early stages of it. So you might have Buddy Murphy, align with a new cult leader, this time being Aleister Black, and then Aleister can go after Seth. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think there's a tie-in with that as well, because I think Aleister was involved in the whole, hey, I'm gonna steel steps your eye out stuff between Seth and Ray and Dominic and stuff. And I think Aleister lost an eye, which caused him to turn heel on Kevin Owens. I think that happened early pandemic era when I wasn't watching. But I think I remember seeing like YouTube thumbnails and stuff like that, or YouTube clips that kind of, yeah, so I think that's what happened. So you have an easy tie-in for him to want to feud with Seth, that there's a way to get Buddy Murphy back on television and have him feud against Seth. And yeah, you got a lot of easy tie-ins there. So I feel like that might be what they do. Regardless, I'm excited. Excited might not be the best word, because they've always fucked up Aleister when we get excited, but I'm cautiously optimistic about what they're going to do with Aleister Black coming up here. So yeah, man, excuse me. They had a Dirty Dogs interview backstage where they were congratulated for their win last week, and then they were asked who's going to win between the Alphas and the Mysterios. Dolph Ziggler says, Ray's a legend, but Dom's still inexperienced. He's kind of the weak link, and he's going to side with the Alphas. Bygones be bygones with Otis, but, amateur wrestling, got to stick with the boys. Then the interviewer asks who's next, and then they start to say it doesn't matter who's next, and then the Profits come in, and they're like, oh, who's next? They won last week, credit to you, but when we were champions, they got chances again and again, so how about we got next? Dolph said, it's take back season, so why don't you take your asses back of the line, blah, blah, blah. They start getting in each other's faces, and Bayley gets in between them, and she's like, hey, yo, chill, hey, yo, calm down, chill, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then she interrupts to talk about the ungrateful rookie Bianca Belair, takes credit for her success by taking her under her wing like a year ago or whatever, and now Bianca doesn't even mention it, not even a thank you, blah, blah, blah. Montez Ford is still nearby. He's on the phone, speakerphone with Bianca, and then he pretty much tattles on Bayley for talking shit. And then we go to commercial. We come back, and Bianca is there in person, and she tells Bayley to say what she said to her face. Bayley then kisses her ass, and she's like, I just wanted to say, great job at Mania. You did some cool shit. I'm honored to face you at WrestleMania Backlash, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I called it WrestleMania Backlash. Oh no. Oh no. I'm becoming a company shill, dude. Oh no. I'm using their fucking stupid marketing names, bruh. At Backlash. There we go. I'm gonna sweep it under the rug as me quoting Bayley. So there we go. It wasn't me. Don't worry about it. So at Backlash, she talks about how it'll be an honor, blah, blah, blah. She walks off screen. Bianca's starting to say that that's not what she heard over the phone. Bayley comes back. She's like, oh, and by the way, and then just starts laughing at Bianca and leaves. And Bianca's like, yo, what the fuck, dude? So yeah, man. Bayley getting a title shot out of nowhere doesn't make sense in kayfabe. However, given the fact that they released like half their women's main roster a week ago, it makes sense because the people left in that roster are the Riot Squad, who, one, are in the tag team division, and two, have been booked so shit that a number one contender is against one of them. Doesn't make sense. You probably want to protect Carmella because you've already almost killed off her character. So you probably want to protect what's left of her before you start maybe potentially building her up again, because I think she should be built up again. Sasha, you probably want to keep her strong because it's Sasha Banks. She's probably the biggest star that you have in the company in terms of what they're doing outside of the company, like branding and marketing and collaborations, like waving the flag at the F1 races or whatever the fuck, and being in the Mandalorian, all that shit. You probably want to keep her clean and not do Bayley and Sasha again for the number one contendership, and then that's the whole women's division. So you cut half of what was already a shallow roster, and now you've got an even more shallow roster. You kind of just have to give matches away, which is not good, but also it makes up for Bayley not being on Mania because she should have been on Mania. She technically was, but being made to look weak against the Bellas, who, one, suck, and two, are retired, that's no bueno. So, yeah, man. Yeah, it was okay. Bayley getting involved with the Profits and Dirty Dogs didn't really make sense to me at first. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is she there? And then it made sense because they did the whole Montez and Bianca tie-in. So, yeah, man. The promo was fine. You build intrigue to next week with Bayley laughing because now you want to kind of tune in next week and be like, hey, yo, what was the meme, dude? Bianca's going to come out next week and be like, hey, yo, what were you laughing at me for? And then Bayley's gonna, whatever, right? It's leaving like a cliffhanger. It's leaving an unknown, so you have an incentive to tune into the show next week and watch if you're invested in that storyline, right? So, yeah, man. So there we go. That's that. No complaints from me there, and except for Bayley just being given a world title shot out of nowhere, but it is what it is. Then we had the Alpha Academy versus the Mysterios in what was a really fun match. They got longer than I thought they would, which was good, and then yeah, they had a good match. Near the end of the match, Mysterios win. Not near the end of the match. That is the end of the match. The Mysterios win. Dominic sent Otis kind of crashing into the announce table. 619, and then a frog splash from Ray to Gable for the win. Once again, it's so weird that they gave Otis like a singles loss last week, but Gable still takes the pins and the tag. Like, if you're trying to protect Otis, you already had him lose clean last week. Like, you didn't, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Ray and Dominic are great. Gable and Otis are good. Gable's fantastic, but yeah, man. Sorry I'm yawning, brother. I am fucking exhausted. But yeah, dude. Then we had a Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, coming out and dapping up the Mysterios in victory, and then going out to the ring before a commercial break. This happened at like 9:50. So the last 10 minutes of the show was dedicated to Cesaro. The first 40 minutes of the show were dedicated to Cesaro. And then throughout the night, we had little backstage things. So let's just say another 5-10 minutes. Almost half of the show was dedicated to Cesaro, which is fantastic. I fuck with it. I fuck with it heavy, brother. Make him feel like a big deal, please, because he is a big deal in the eyes of hardcore fans. So if you treat him like a big deal, everybody will acknowledge him, pun intended, as a big deal. Because he is capable of being that big deal. He's capable, in my opinion, of being like a modern-day Bruno Sammartino. So, yeah, man. Anyways, here we go. So we got Cesaro cutting a promo with Daniel Bryan where he says he's out there waiting to hear Roman's answer. He tells Roman, you can either come out and give us the answer, or we can come back there and get your answer, your call. Roman comes out and he's like, You're going to challenge me? Who are you? You haven't earned it. You don't deserve it. My answer is no. It'll always be no. You're not on my level. You'll never be on my level. You know what I mean? And the answer is no. The champ issues the challenge around here, and the challenge goes to you. And he's speaking to Daniel Bryan at this point. He's like, I don't like you. I never have. I never will. But next week, you get one more title opportunity. Daniel Bryan kind of seems to think it over, kind of unsure. And then Cesaro's like, what are you thinking about? You have to take it. You have to take it. Which I like from Cesaro because it builds him up as being sympathetic to me. Because when you see somebody who does things the right way in the kayfabe. He comes in, he does the right things, he puts in the work, blah, blah, blah. He's asking for the shot, and even though he's getting shot down, you know what I mean, his friend is given a title shot, and he's like, you have to take it, because he values the business, the character, and obviously Cesaro, but the character of Cesaro in the kayfabe values the business and values the title so much that he realizes, like, hey, he's not giving me the title opportunity, but my friend's getting a title opportunity. I'm not going to be selfish and be like, no, give it to me. Like, that's a title opportunity for a close friend. Like, they've got to take it. It's a title opportunity. It puts over the title opportunity, and I think it makes Cesaro endearing and sympathetic as a babyface. So I like that. I don't know if that was, told by management to be like, have Cesaro, encourage Bryan to take it, or if Cesaro kind of audibled that. But either way, it was good. So I enjoyed it. That little tidbit right there, the little things. And then Roman says, but one more thing. When you lose, I never want to see you on my show again, blah, blah, blah. Basically, if/when Roman wins, Bryan will be banished from SmackDown, and then Bryan accepts. So next week on SmackDown, we've got 2 title matches. We've got obviously Big E and Apollo from earlier announced, and then we've got a WWE Universal title match, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. I like, again, Roman ducking Cesaro, good. I like it because it'll make for an even better payoff when they do eventually pull the trigger on it, hopefully SummerSlam. So I like that. Like I said, Cesaro encouraging Bryan to accept the challenge. I like that. Bryan accepting it, obviously I like that. And then the match itself, I mean, is going to be good, so that's going to be good. a lot of people on the internet are freaking out about it, I think, because they're like, oh shit, is this the end of Daniel Bryan in WWE? Because apparently his contract is up in September, or in the fall at least, but I've read September. Apparently he's communicated that he won't renew. So if he's not going to renew, they might take this opportunity to just write him off and then maybe do like a, avenging my fallen friend thing with Cesaro. And that might be what they do. Yeah, so there are other possibilities. There's a possibility that Bryan loses and then goes to Raw, which, would be awful because Raw is just a fucking vacuum of joy. It's a dark hole of entertainment, a black hole of entertainment. I mean, it's such an awful show. You'd think that two different companies were producing these shows. It's the same company producing a consistent 8 out of 10 and then a consistent 3 or 4 out of 10. It's just too whatever. I've complained about that before. But anyways, so one of the possibilities is obviously he gets written out and then he leaves in the fall. Another possibility is that he goes to Raw and then still potentially leaves in the fall. And then another possibility is he gets a DQ win. You could give him a DQ win. You know what I mean? You could have Edge come in, spear Bryan for the DQ win, and then you could do Edge and Bryan for the number one contendership, and then have Edge and Roman in a singles like you had originally wanted, and then you could do Edge and Cesaro after Cesaro beats Seth again, and then blah blah blah. Like you've got things that you could do with Edge coming in and causing a DQ win for Bryan. Keeps the title on Roman. It gives Cesaro and Bryan more ammunition to be like, hey, Roman, you need the help. But you know what I mean? So yeah, so there's a bunch of possibilities that they could do next week. And we'll have to wait and see. I'm actually interested to see what they do because SmackDown is consistently good. So when they leave a cliffhanger or a thing where you're like, ooh, I wonder what's gonna happen with SmackDown, you're always excited to kind of find out because it's usually good. With Raw, you're like, oh man, what fucking bullshit are they gonna pull now? You know what I mean? So yeah, man. But anyways, that is it for the review. I very much enjoyed SmackDown this week. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Maybe an 8.5. It wasn't. Yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. The Tamina and the Tamina and Naya thing drops it a lot for me. And then, yeah, man, I'm yawning again. Apologies. Very unprofessional, but it is what it is. Yeah, man. So 8 out of 10, maybe an 8.5, but I'll say 8 out of 10, I guess. Let me know what you guys thought of SmackDown down in the comments below. Do you agree with my rating of 8 out of 10, or do you disagree? Let me know what your rating is in the comments, like I said, and let me know why. Do you disagree or agree with me on certain points that you'd want to discuss? Put that in the comments too, man. It's always great to hear other opinions on the wrestling. If this is the first video you're watching on the channel, you can check out some of the other shit I do on the channel on the at the links at the end of the cards there and cards at the end of the video thing. You know what I mean? I do a GM mode series where I book my own storyline. So if you'd like to see how I book wrestling after listening to me critique wrestling for almost an hour, you could go check that out. And then I also have more gameplay commentary stuff based on the channel, like a 2K14 30 Years of Mania and All-Stars that just ended recently at TNA Impact that's going to start soon. So keep an eye out for that. Stuff like that. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, link in the description. Discord server for the channel, link in the description. Please sponsor me Peasty, of course. Obligatory sponsor me Gimmick. Be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode because YouTube likes to zuck your boy and not put my videos in your sub boxes. So by pressing that nice old bell icon, you will get a push notification anytime I do upload and you'll never have to miss it. And yeah, man, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, share it to all your friends, comment down below, all that good shit, and I'll see you guys next time.